Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Great to have you back for week 4 if you've been with us, or welcome if it's your first one. So today we're going to focus on building collaboration and feedback skills using G Suite. So you can see there is the shortened link. I'll just pop that into presentation mode for a moment just to make it a bit larger for you. Down the bottom, utb.fyi/DC-webinar 4. So that will take you to the slides. And just throughout the webinar, we'll keep popping that back in the chat for you so that you can grab that.
I'll do that right now, Donna. I'll put that in the chat so that you guys can grab that.
Thanks, Paul. And as I said, it's Paul and I today. So if this is your first time with us, thanks for joining us. So I'm based in Auckland. I'm Donna, and I'm based in Auckland. And Paul is based in sunny Queensland. So we're going to be taking you through some G Suite stuff today. And before we start, I'm just going to do my pepeha, which over here in New Zealand is a traditional way of just explaining who you are, where you're from, and just kind of basically where your background is, where your genealogy comes from. So it's a way of acknowledging who we are. So kia ora tātou, ko te ora tā monga, ko waiho te awa, ko Golightly toko whanua, ko Donna toko ingoa, no rewa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. So I just explained to you that Te Aroha is my mountain, which you can see in the background there. So Te Aroha is a small country town in the middle of the North Island. Only about 4,000 people live there, maybe even less now. And it's underneath a huge mountain. We have a TV satellite on top. So wherever you go around the Thames Valley, Waikato area, on a sunny day, and we do have those days, you could often see the TV satellite on top. So it was really grounding. It just kind of really pointed you towards home. Waiho is the river that runs through Te Aroha. Golightly is my name, my family name. So I have a husband and 3 adult children who you can see are delightfully smiling, or 2 of the 3 of them are. It's very hard to get 3 of them to smile all at once. And welcome to this webinar this evening.
Paul. Yeah, Donna. Yeah, so I'm on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional country of the Gubbi Gubbi and the Jinnaburra peoples of the Sunshine Plains, coastal plains and hinterlands of the Sunshine Coast, and recognise that this has always been places of culture, spiritual, social and economic significance. We wish to pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people continue to play within the Sunshine Coast community.
Thanks, Paul. So welcome everyone. This is what we're going to be looking at. So again, it's going to be quite hands-on. So I've just taken it out of presentation mode because in a moment we're going to jump into some doing and some watching. But just before we begin, I've just thrown in a couple of things for us to think about. So I know that we're looking at ways that we can use G Suite and how we can use these tools to leverage our collaboration and our feedback. And when I started looking around, I know we have a lot of teachers joining us from Victoria. So I went having a look on the Victoria Ed site, and I just actually found this quote, which I thought was a really great quote to start us off tonight. Something for us to keep in the back of our mind, that this is what we are wanting for our students. So we know that the world they're going into is going to be hugely different. So we're really wanting to help them to be creative, critical, cultured, compassionate, and courageous. I thought they were a nice group of words. So it's just something for us to reflect on. And of course, like anything, it's often really good to have a shared understanding of what we're actually talking about. So my idea of collaboration and your idea of collaboration might be completely different. I know a few years ago when I was teaching in the classroom, and I'm laughing because I had a year 6 class, so 10, 11-year-olds, students, 10, 11-year-olds, and the teacher who I was teaching with, there were 2 of us job sharing, and we thought we were doing this amazing job with our students. We were one-to-one, BYOD. We had our kids collaborating. We were amazing. And we sat there one day and we watched them. There were 4 students in a group. They were sitting each with their laptops, not any conversation between them whatsoever, all busy working away. And when we said to them, "What are you doing?" they said, "Oh, we're collaborating." And so I said, "What does that mean?" And essentially what they had done is they had taken one task, they had chunked it into 4 pieces. They were each doing one piece and there was no discussion. They hadn't talked to each other about what their pieces needed. They hadn't thrown any collaborative ideas together. They hadn't brainstormed together. They were literally just doing their own work by themselves, and they were just going to put it together in a presentation at the end. So that was a great lesson to me that I needed to go back and dig into what collaboration actually means. And so I thought that this is just a nice way for us to all have a shared understanding that we're talking about encouraging our students to think critically, to troubleshoot problems together, and to offer feedback to each other. Not just offer feedback, but take on that feedback and act on that feedback as well. To learn from each other, which is really, really important, to embed change and to avoid repeating errors. So actually learning from each other and learning from our mistakes. It's just kind of a little bit, I guess, of background. And of course, feedback, just the different types of feedback and how we can maximize what we do. So to get started, I thought I would focus on sharing permissions, because when we collaborate, and we know that G Suite's, one of the strengths in G Suite is the ability for us to collaborate and be working on the same doc as lots of other people at the same time. And I will often share resources. We have a New Zealand Teachers Facebook page over here, and I will often share resources out on that for other people to use. And honestly, I don't know how many times I get emails asking people if I can share a document with them because they would like to use it for these students, which is exactly what they should be doing with it. But they just don't know that they can actually make a copy, which then makes them the owner of the copy, and then they can tweak it. So just wanted to go over some sharing permissions before we start. And I've got a document open here that I'm going to share. So if I was going to share this resource out, we know that we click on the blue share button in the top right-hand corner, and this brings up our dialog box. So I could add Paul's email in here. It's going to find him because he's in my domain or he's in my contacts. And I can leave him as an editor, which is what he is by default, or I can change him to a viewer, which is what I do when I share with people outside of UTB. Or I can allow him just to make comments, but he can't actually change anything. So I'm going to leave him as an editor. Notify people means by default that's ticked. So he's going to get an email to let him know that I've shared something with him. Now, if you don't want them to have an email, you can uncheck that box. And you notice the message option hides away. I can put a message in here and I can give him a message at the same time, and he's going to get that message in his email. Here's the doc that I'm sharing with him, and then I can just send it off to him. So that sent it directly to that person. I could click on my share button, and I could come down here to get the link. At the moment, it says anyone on the internet with this link can view, but I can click on that and I can change it. So I can click on how it's shared and I can restrict it, which means only the people who I've shared it via email will be able to see it. Or this is our domain, so only people in our domain, or anyone with the link. And I can again allow them to be a viewer or an editor. And then I can just click on copy link, and I can email that link out, or I can paste that link in a Facebook thread or on Twitter. I could paste it in Google Classroom, and those people would access the link and they would have my document. Now, because I shared this with Paul directly, here it is here, it's been shared with Paul. If I click on the editor button here, it gives me another option. I can make him the owner. So if you are working in a school and you've been working with a team of teachers, maybe you've collaborated beautifully on a template for your planning, but you created it, so you're the owner of it. But now you're going to move on. You're leaving the school and you're going somewhere else. So you can change the ownership. I could make Paul the owner so that then if I left, the ownership still stays within our domain and people who I've collaborated with are still going to be able to access it. I can remove him, or I can give him temporary access. And so I can let him have access to his document just for a specified period of time. So I could click on the date here and I can say, okay, I think he only needs access till maybe the end of October. And then I'm going to click save. But if I do that, you will notice that it's changed his access to commenter only. So if you give someone temporary access, they can't be an editor. So there's just a few other things hidden under there. I'll remove that. Under the settings cogwheel, this is where you can untick a couple of options. So editors can change permissions and share. So I've let Paul be an editor on this, but if I untick this, then he can't share this or change the permissions. And if I untick this box, then it means that nobody will be able to make a copy and nobody will be able to download it. So those two settings just hide under that settings cogwheel. So those just wanted to just kind of run over those sharing settings. Now, if I was the person who received this, so I've clicked the link, let me just come back and grab the link. So I'm going to copy the link. If I come in here to an incognito window, so that means I'm not signed into any account, then I'm seeing this in view only. So it's telling me here that I need to sign in, and I can't make, I'm clicking around on here, I can't make any changes. So if I want a copy of this for my own classroom, I click on File. Oops, I'm not sure why make a copy is grayed out, but normally it would not be grayed out. And I would make a copy, then I'm the owner and I can go ahead and make any copies, any changes I want. So there's just a quick little recap of our sharing. Are there any questions, Paul, about sharing?
Donna, there's no questions, but just we've had quite a few people just come in the last kind of 5-10 minutes. So don't forget, you guys will get a link with the recording, won't they, Donna? They'll have a link to the recording of it.
Yes.
So if you feel like you've missed those permissions, which are really important, and going back, don't worry too much. You'll get you can watch the first 10 minutes back, which would be great. Sonia's just said, can we make the screen a little bit bigger when we're demoing? It's hard to do just because, Donna, isn't it, you're showing basically inside the doc, not as a present.
Yeah, I can try and scroll a wee bit and just.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's better.
A little bit tricky, but yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I will just show you is that you can manually change the way that you share yourself. So if I copy the link from this document,
yep,
and I'll just come to the bottom, that's a long way to the bottom, isn't it? And I'll just put it on a new page. If I paste that in, oops, where did it go? You'll notice at the end here, it says edit. So I can actually manually change that to copy. And then if I make sure that I grab all of that and I share that link with someone. So if I come to an incognito window now and I paste that in, and fingers crossed this works. No, it didn't. Not quite sure where that has taken me. What it will look like, let me use Sirlinks a lot. So this is a Chrome extension that will manually or automatically, because it's doing it for you, change the link sharing for you. So here's force a copy. Now, if you notice, it just changed that word edit to copy, which is exactly what I did. So I'm not quite sure why it didn't work. But anyway, copy the link to the clipboard, and then you can share that, and it will force the people to make a copy. The only thing with forcing a copy that I find, let's try it and see if it'll work now, is that you can't see, it wants me to sign in, you can't see what you're making a copy of. It just is white and it says, do you want to make a copy? So for me, I remember going to a seminar once, a woman talking about security, and she was saying that, you know, why would you make a copy of something that you don't know what's behind that make a copy interface? So I guess if you trust the person, that might be a good way to do it. If you don't know, then, you know, you just maybe err on the side of caution when it comes to digital citizenship. But you can click preview and you notice it's changed that word to preview, which means that they will just be able to see it. So it's like a present mode. Template, it makes a template preview so they see it. And then in the corner, let me see if this one will work. Let's try this one. Incognito is not behaving the way it should. There we go. This has worked. So it's going to load a template. It might tell me it's too big to load at the moment, but notice in the top right-hand corner, it says use template. And so if I click on that blue button, it's going to automatically make me my own copy. It's telling me it's too big a file. So there are some different ways that you can change those links. You can manually change them yourself, or you can use this Chrome extension, which is called Sir Links-a-Lot, and it will make it into either a PDF, a template, a preview, or a forcer copy for you.
Hey, Donna,
Yeah.
that was great that you just went over the name of that Chrome extension, because Megan was just asking about it. You know how the make a copy was grayed out, was in the incognito window? Was that because you weren't signed in, so you've got to sign in before you make a copy?
Yeah, I have a feeling it's because I played around with the sharing permission, and it's probably changed it when I was playing around, and I haven't refreshed.
Yep. No, that's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. If it won't let you, then sign in, and you will definitely be able to make a copy.
Absolutely.
The only time you can't make a copy is if the owner turns that permission off. So all of those shortcuts are on here. And we will endeavour to put the Sir Links-a-Lot Chrome extension in there as well. Now, I'm going to try something which may turn to complete custard, or it may work really well. We are going to do some collaborating. So you can see on the screen here, I have a Google Sheet. Now, quite often, if people think collaboration in G Suite, they'll think Google Docs, they'll think maybe slides, maybe Google Sites, but it's not very often that people will immediately go to Google Sheets, which is why I've gone to Google Sheets, so we can have a play with something different. So you will notice if you have the slide deck, it will be on here. I'm just going to make it into present so you can see. Bottom right-hand corner, utb.fyi/collab. So if you click on that, or Paul, maybe can you paste that into the chat for us?
Just done that, Donna.
Awesome, thank you. That is going to bring you, hopefully, to this sheet. Yes, and someone is in there. Now, last week, Lara shared a Jamboard, and there were some people who couldn't contribute, they couldn't collaborate, because there were simply too many people on the Jamboard. So what we can do in situations like that is we can create kind of like some breakout groups, I guess, is what I've done on the sheet. So you'll see it says, let's share the way that we currently use G Suite tools for collaborative activities. So here's our statement at the top. This is what we're going to do. Now, you'll notice there are 5 groups, group 1, group 2, group 3, 4, and 5. So I would like you to click in a cell, put your name in a group, and then at the bottom of that group, you'll see it says link to your group's sheet. So if you link to your group's sheet, it's going to open you up to another sheet that looks like this. Matt, congratulations. You are my superstar. He has already jumped in, he's popped his name in, and he's busy collaborating. So I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes, and I'm going to get you to jump into the sheet, claim a group so that we can sort of see that we've got an even number of people in our group. Click on the link to your sheet, and I'm going to put a timer on for 5 minutes and just give you some time to collaborate on how you use G Suite tools to be collaborative, either with your students, with your colleagues, maybe with your community, maybe with teachers in other schools. Just brainstorm all the ways that you use G Suite for collaboration.
Hey, Donna, before you go, could you just check the permissions on the first sheet? People are saying, a lot of people are saying view only. So
the sheet I'm on at the moment?
Yeah, so that very first one where they put their names in, could you just check the permissions there?
Oh, look at that. They are quite right. It's saying view only. And I did that purposely so that I could demonstrate to you how we could quickly change that to editor. And so now if you refresh, you will be able to add your name into that group. Look at that. That's great modeling. Thank you, Paul.
Oh, that's okay. And just let us know in the chat. Thank you for those people letting us know that those sort of things happen, and it's good. Yep. Looks like the link's working. Yeah, cool. Great. Thanks, Michael.
And this is exactly what would happen in your classroom. You know, you go through and you change all the links that you can, and you think you've got all the links. And then one of your students will say, I can't write on it. And you go, yep, because I want to model to you how we can change the links.
They say teach a teachable moment, don't they, Donna? Like those moments are really good to teach with.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, I know when I first started using technology in my class, I was a little bit afraid of those things happening. Like I didn't want to muck up in front of the kids. And I soon learned that it was one of the best things that I could do, because if they could see me make a mistake, or if they could see me fix a problem or find a solution, then they became much more open-minded towards using the tech as well. Great to see people spreading out evenly amongst the groups. Well done. This is such a well-behaved class, Paul.
Yeah, I'm just putting the link, that first long link to the first sheet that Donna put up where you put your name in. Just for, if people miss that, there's lots of people in the chat, which is great. So I'll just put that in again so you can jump into there and click on the link in the chat. Belinda, just refresh your URL at the top. Belinda, just refresh it. I think it should be okay now.
Yes, if once I've changed the links, you need to refresh for the new link to kick in. And just, you know, feel free, because we are collaborating here, you can click on the other groups' links and see what other people are putting. After the webinar, I will collate all of your ideas into this one sheet, the main sheet, so that everything's all in one place. But just so that it didn't crash and have too many people, that everybody was able to contribute.
So I think it's Leah saying she can't find it. Leah, if you just click on the link that I've just posted and put your name in that sheet, and then click on the link at the bottom of your column, that should do it.
So at the moment, for example, I've got the main sheet here, and you can see we've got group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and group 5. And at the bottom in blue, there's a little link that says link to your group's sheet. If you click on that, click on the tab that pops up, then it will take you to the sheet that others are writing on. I'm just going to shut the tabs down just so that my machine doesn't slow down too much.
And I guess, Donna, for those people that haven't used spreadsheets a lot and Google Sheets, even just clicking in cells and typing in it can be like a new experience. So just be patient with yourself.
And so it could be, that's a good point, Paul. You might find you need to double click inside the cell, and then you'll see the cursor flashing, and then you'll be able to start texting, typing. Sometimes if you just click once, sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. So if it's not, just a quick little double click. And I'm going to show you in a second how we can set up our sheet to format as a text document.
The other thing that might be worth doing is, if we've got a few people clicking in the same cells, Donna, maybe select a cell a little bit further down so that people are not kind of deleting each other, Donna.
Yes. So yes, and feel free. You've got edit access. So if you feel that you want to, you can click in a cell. You can right click. Oh, I might regret showing you this, but then you can go insert row, and it will add another row in as well. So yeah, totally. You'll see if there's a color border in the cell, that means somebody is already working in that cell. So I can't see any names in these cells on the right-hand side, but when I hover over it, it tells me that there's an anonymous bat in this cell, and there's an anonymous kangaroo in this cell. So I'm going to go to another cell. This one's blue, so I know that somebody's writing in that. So yeah, just good point. Thanks, Paul. Just spread yourselves out. Yep. And this is what your students will feel like. This is often what it's like when you start using collaborative documents with your students, is they find it a little bit unsettling. And that's why it's really good to experience it, and then you know what you can talk them through.
Tanya had a really good point, Donna. Just there's a couple of people saying the links down the bottom are not working, but it looks like they are for some. So maybe, Tanya, that's a great idea. Just refreshing your page at the top is great. And Tanya also asked, Donna, will we learn how to set up this style of activity, like linking to a new sheet?
Yes, we will. I've just made those a little bit bigger, so maybe that might help. Sometimes clicking on it, if they're a little bit small, can be a bit hard for your cursor to find it. So I've just highlighted the cells and made that text a little bit bigger. That might help with being able to select it. And in fact, if I highlight both these cells and make them even bigger, that will give you more of a chance to grab the link. So I'll just give you another couple of minutes. And let's just grab a sheet. And then we can see that, you can set, and I'll show you how to set these up. And you can totally put, get students to put whatever information you want them to put into these documents. So it can be brainstorms, can be answers to questions, it can be information that they're working on, it can be a collaborative place for research. There's lots of different ways that we can use them. Creating a table with a teacher on the other side of the country to share new ideas. That is awesome, Lillian. Sharing slides where children collaborate. Fantastic. Planning units. Yes. And Google Sheets is often a tool that teachers will use for their planning because you can set it out lots of different ways. Some awesome ideas. Belinda said they often use it to do a list with their team, and they can use checkboxes. Brilliant. So we'll just leave those there, and you guys can keep adding to those if you would like to. Feel free to add another column if there's something else that you would like, some other ideas that you would like people to jump in with. You can add those in there. So let me show you how I set this up. I'm going to do it on this same sheet that we're on. So I'm on the first sheet that you started on, where you added your names to the groups. If you wanted to with your students, you could, of course, pre-populate this so that you already have their names in. So you've kind of organized the groups and you know where you're sending them. Down the bottom of the sheet, now I can't make this any bigger because it's not part of the sheet, but the very bottom left-hand corner, there's a tiny little plus. And when I hover over it, it says Add Sheet. And so what that's done is made a completely blank sheet for us, but I'm still in the same workbook. I'm still in the collaboration brainstorm. It says if I come back to where you people started, the name of my sheet is Collaboration Brainstorm. So here we are at the top. It's Collaboration Brainstorm, and down the bottom, all the way down the bottom, I shouldn't have done that with my mouse pad because it didn't like it. I'll just refresh to get to the bottom. There will be, it's still loading. It will jump me to, she says, ever so patiently. Okay, let's just do it this way. Here we go. Still not letting me get to it. So let me just refresh one more time. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this will fix it. No. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is close that down and open it up again. And hopefully that will have fixed it. There we go. Look at that. There's always a way. So as I said, I'm still in my same one, and here I am now on a new sheet. So what I did with this one, first thing is sheets, people often think numbers, they think formulas. So what we want to do with this sheet is we want to primarily use it for text. So in the top left-hand corner, underneath where it says FX, which is your formula, there's kind of a tiny cell with two thick grey lines. So if I click in that, you can see it's highlighted my whole sheet. So it's instantly highlighted all the cells and all the rows, all the columns, everything on my sheet. So now that I've selected my whole sheet, I come up to Format, and where it says Number, which is the default for sheets, I come across and I choose Plain Text. So what that's now doing is it's saying every single one of these cells that's highlighted is set up now to be a text box. So I can click my text and I want maybe the Poppins. So you can choose what font you want. You can choose what default size you want the text to be. Then come along your ribbon to your little vertical align arrow. And by default, it's set for all the text to automatically go to the bottom of the cell. So I want it to start at the top of the cell, or sometimes you might like it to be in the middle of the cell. So you can just click this little these little arrows and choose where you want it to be. And you've got your text wrapping. So I want this to wrap inside the cell so that all the text fits inside the cell. And I want it all to be on the left-hand horizontal. So now every single text box is going to have that same formatting for text. But I also want my cells and my rows to be a little bit wider. So because everything is still highlighted, I can grab the line between and I can just pull this across, and it's going to make every column that same width because everything is highlighted. And I can do the same with my rows. I can make all my rows bigger if I want to as well. As soon as I click on my sheet, I come back to what my sheet looks like now. So there we are. We've just made all of our boxes formatted for text. We've changed the size of them. And now if I click inside it and I put text here, you can see, oh my goodness, you can see that my text is the Poppins font. It's size 12. It's at the top and it's on the left-hand side. It's in the middle. I clicked middle. That's right. If I grab just a whole lot of text, so I'm just going to copy that and paste it into a cell. Now, if I click out here, you can see how it's wrapped. Did it wrap? I'm not quite sure. It did wrap. Yes, it has wrapped. So it's fitted all that text into the cell because I chose text wrapping. You've also here got text rotation. So by default, it's set left to right, but you could have it going from top to bottom if you wanted, or you could even have it on an angle if you wanted. You want to get a bit designy, you can put it on an angle. I'll just move it back to normal. So you can change how it looks as well. Any questions so far, Paul?
No, there was just a few questions about, once again, just formatting, making sure it's a text cell. But I think you've gone over it. And the great thing is people are starting to help each other out in the chat. It's absolutely fantastic. So thanks, Adele and Tanya for jumping in and supporting one another. Fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks. So to format, I'll just quickly run over that again. You can individually select cells, or you can choose your whole sheet, and it's just format, number, and choose plain text. So there are screenshots of this in the slide for you, and of course, don't forget you'll get the recording. Now, if you want to make a title, so I can just highlight these and hit delete, and it deletes the text. If I want to make a really big title, I can maybe choose these 3 cells, and this little button here. The wonderful thing about G Suite is that when you hover over the buttons, it tells you what they do. So this is merge cells. So it's going to merge those 3 cells into one. So now maybe I want my text to be in the center, and this is going to be my title for the sheet. And it's going to put it in the middle. I can also, next to my merge cell is my borders. And so if I select the outside of my cell, and I can select a color, and I can select how bold, how fat I want that to be, just come off there, it puts a border around it. So you can start to see how on this instruction one I gave you, that this top one here, this is merged. So these 3 cells are merged, and these 3 cells here are merged. Now, once I've merged the cells, when I select them, it's the same as in Word, and it's the same as in Docs and the same as in Slides. You have your paint pot. And so you've got the same options. I can choose a color, and I can fill my merged cells with a color. I can custom that color if I want to, just the same as we can anywhere else. So we've got that same option to color. Okay, so we've made our cells, we've merged it, we've put some text in, we've put a border around to make it stand out, and we have filled it with a color. So if I come back to this one here, so then what I did was I created group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. I'm just going to, now I'm going to, let me see, I'll do it this way this time. If I come up to here, you will notice in the very corner of every cell, and it's in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a tiny little box. So you can see here, there's a tiny blue box. There's a tiny blue box. So whatever formula or whatever formatting you have on the cell that you select, you can simply drag that either way, down or across, and it will drag that formatting with it. So if I just come back to normal size here, if I want to carry this merging and color across 2 more, I drag it and it just carries it across. It actually copied that one over. It wasn't quite what I wanted to do, but never mind. I'm going to merge them. There we go. So now we want group 1, group 2. So what I did was merge these 2, and then I just copied that merge across. So across there, and now it's merged those 2. Pull that across to the next 2, and it's merged the next 2. And so I'll put a border around it so you can see. Oops. There we go. And so now you can see all of the merged cells. There we go. So I don't have to highlight the merge, highlight the merge, highlight the merge. I just highlighted and then dragged that formatting across. And that became group 1. Let's just, if you click in the column where it's numbered, it selects that whole row for you. And so I'm just going to center it. So it's going to center it for everything in that row. So I don't have to reformat each one. So that's group 1. This is group 2. And this is group 3. So that's how I set that up. And then these rows here, if I just select them all and come up to our border and border everything, and now I've got a line for everyone to write their names in. So if you wanted first name, last name, you can leave them as they are, or you could copy the merging down if you just wanted a merge space to be the same. So we've created our heading across here, we've put our groups in, and we've put our spaces for people to write their name. And then what I did underneath that was linked to your sheet. So let's just merge this to make it the same. So I simply wrote link to sheet, where of course I had made another sheet. I had to have those sheets made already for you. And let's make this text a lot bigger. There we go. And so it's the same as linking. This is relatively new in Sheets. So that it used to be you could only have one link inside a cell, but now you can have as many as you want. So I could just highlight the text, and you can either come up to insert, and there is a link option there, and it will bring you up your link box. So you can link out to another website. So if I come, for example, to this one, I grab this URL and I come back and I can paste that in there. Then this is going to link me. Oops, I don't think it pasted in, did it? Apply. There we go. This, when I click on it, it's going to take me to the other link. Or this is our remove link. You'll notice that when you have a link. You can also link to other sheets in your spreadsheet. So I could link to, here's down here, I've got the instructions, sheet 4, sheet 3, sheet 2, and group 1. Same as here. So I can link to a different sheet. So this could be week 1, and it's going to link you to your maths, or it could be week 1 and it's going to link you to your literacy, or however you want to set it up. So if I click instructions, apply, now if I click here, it links us back to the front sheet. Now, sheet 4, sheet 3, sheet 2, sheet 1 are not very specific names for my sheet. So if you just click on the little drop-down triangle, you can rename your sheet and give it whatever name you like. When you click on that little drop-down triangle, you can also change the color. Now, often you'll think the whole tab will change color. It just puts a colored line underneath the name. You can also drag these tabs to change the order. So you can drag them around any order that you like. So I'm just going to stop there, Paul. Are there any questions?
No, there's no questions, Donna. So just to confirm and consolidate that, the interactive links is just like the slides where you might build a table of contents to a different page on your Google slide or something like that. It's the same process. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yep. Now, I'm just going to quickly show you how it could be used in the classroom with your students, because we will often set up something like this for our planning. We share it with our team. We link out to our different units and all sorts of things, and it's absolutely fantastic. We don't often use it with our students. So this is a very quick one that I threw together for you. Now, the first thing that I used to use this for with my students, color coding. So anything green is an instruction. Anything blue is something they have to actually do. So straight away, the students can see the spaces that they have to work in. And if there is a blank space and it's blue, then they know that there's something they haven't done. So just using color for some students can be a great tool to help them with their work. Now, this is probably one of my favorite things with sheets, and people go, oh my goodness. So this is a place value sheet. Some of my students are still getting their head around place value. Some of them still need some support around what place value means. I can't be there every minute of the day to help them with that. So they can double click on here and they can watch the video. She said. So I won't play it all. When they've finished watching the video, it pops away again. So you can add that extra layer of support for your students to be able to watch that video and have that little bit of space to go back to, rewatch it, discuss it with a buddy right there in the sheet, and they haven't had to go anywhere.
Donna, was that video just placed in a Google drawing, was it?
Yes. Now, this is such a cool thing. So under your insert tab, you have drawing. So just like in a Google Doc, you can have a drawing in a Google Sheet. It works the same way. And so when you click on drawing, it opens up that same drawing tab that you see when you open it in Google Docs. Now, there is nowhere here to insert a video. So the trick with this is that in my Google Drive, I have a Google slide that is simply called hosting. And so that Google slide hosts all the videos for me. Sorry, I should have had that open. So what you do is you just open a Google slide, bring in your videos, same way as you normally would. Let me show you. Sorry, open a Google, yes, a Google slide. So if I just go, I'm going to look for slides. Type, it's a presentation. It's owned by me. It's going to have the word host on it. I'm going to search for it. And so hopefully, here we are, hosting. And so this just sits in my drive. No one sees it. The permission on it is set anyone with the link can view. because we need people to be able to view the videos. We just go insert video, grab it from YouTube. And because it's viewed, anyone can, with the link, can view. It's okay. We know people are going to be able to see it. Click on it. It's got the blue lines around it. Copy it. Come to your sheet. Paste it. And now that is a playable video. You can make it as big as you want it to. And this will play on top of the sheet. When you go save and close, it drops into the sheet. It drops on top of the sheet. So you can resize it and move it around your sheet, place it wherever you want to place it. And when the students double click on it, it's just going to open and that video is going to be there and they're going to be able to watch the video. Save and close, and it pops back to where it was. So really, really super quick to do and super easy to be able to provide that extra level of support. So I used to create sheets like this with my students. I'll just delete that out of the way. And they used to work through them in groups and together, always collaborative activities, never on their own. So then they would watch this and they would write their own definition and place value. So they just click in it and it writes. Now you'll also notice under insert is form. So you can insert a form, which I've done here, and you'll notice that it puts the responses for that form as a tab in your sheet. So for you as the teacher, all of that information that comes into the form is all in the same place for you. So if we just go form, it opens you up a new form. It's just going to be stored in your drive. It's just taking its time to think. So here's the one that I did previously. I just made it a quiz form so that the students get that feedback straight away and all of the responses have gone into that form. Now, if I don't want the students to see other people's responses, I can put a password on this tab and I can lock it down just for me so that even though the students can see all the other tabs, they won't be able to access this tab. It's obviously got a little bit going on it at the moment. So you can put a form in there as well, and the students can answer that, have a little bit of a pre-post, whatever, get instant feedback because it's a form quiz and you have the responses sitting right there. You can also link games, so they can put a screenshot of their games, and you've got a checklist that they can come and check off what they've done as they've done it. So just a really nice way to be able to use some of the tools and forms, and sheets, to be able to create collaborative activities for your students that give them some of that feedback feed forward. So I'm just going to stop there, Paul. Are there any questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions. Matthew was just having a really good discussion. He was talking about, can the video come from your Google Drive rather than YouTube?
Yes, it can. So so long as it's I'm just going to shut some of these down to keep my things going. So long as it's hosted in your Google Drive, so long as it's hosted on a sheet. Sorry, Donna, start again. So long as it's hosted on a slide in your drive, which means it can come from two places, YouTube or Google Drive. Yes. Okay, cool. And there was another question just further up. How do you add the password? So if I just open this form again. And wait for it to load. Oops, that was the wrong one, wasn't it? This one. Okay, if I come to here and if I click on protect the sheet. So I haven't come to my top ribbon. I've come to the name of my sheet at the bottom and I click on protect the sheet. Then it opens this sidebar down here, gives me a tab. So protected ranges and sheets, I want to protect the sheet and it's picked up the name. So the name of my sheet is form responses 1 and it's picked up the name here. And then I can set my permissions and I can restrict who can see it. Oh, and which is not a password. custom. Sorry, maybe password was the wrong word to use. Permission is probably what I needed to use.
Yeah, permission.
Yeah, and you can put the name of the people on here, and only those people who have permission will be able to see this. And you can see now it's got a little lock on it, so the other people will know that it's got permissions on it, that they can't access it. So it's just starting from down here and protect the sheet. Can I share the template? Yeah, I can totally share the template. I will put, I'm assuming we mean the template that we're in now. It is linked on the slides here for you. When you click on it, it'll take you to that. Now, I have also just put in here, in the speaker notes of the slides, when you get them, there's just a link to an Alice Keeler template tab. If you don't know Alice Keeler, she's an American woman who just spends her life creating Google things. And she's amazing at coding. And she's coded a sheet that will let you set up your template. And then what you can do is, so it says put your roster here. So that's your list of names. So you put your students' names on here. On the next sheet, you create your template. And then you run her script. Up here, it says template tab. You click on that and it will automatically generate a new tab for every student with that template on it. So for me, I had to do that manually. I made my template. And then again, when you click on the little triangle, you can duplicate it. And so now it's made a copy of that template. And then I just rename that with the name of the students. Because you can see I've got my collaborative students already set up. So Maddie and Lara would work on this one. Sam and Adrian would work on this one. And again, you can protect these if you think your students won't stay off each other's. You can protect it so that only Sam and Adrian and yourself can access this sheet.
Donna, we had a little question about putting in a checklist. I think it was Tanya said it. Yeah.
Yep. So if I just come to here, what you do is select the range. Select the ones that where you want the tick boxes to go. So I selected these cells here. You come up to format, data. Where have I gone to?
Yeah, I'm thinking too.
Yeah. It's it's definitely data, and you come to data validation, and from here you choose tick box.
Oh, well done,
so
Donna.
Let's do that one more time. I highlighted the cells where I want them to go. Oops, cancel that. Highlight the cells. Come to data. I often get data and format mixed up because I know that conditional formatting is in format. Come to data validation, and the criteria you want tick box. And then if I go save, it's put my tick boxes in there. So that's how to put a tick box in there. Okay, so are there any more questions about sheets before we move away from sheets? Oh, one last thing what you can do also is if you want to comment, so we're thinking about feedback as well. So maybe in here they've put a screenshot of their game. If you click it where you want it, up here in the top, can I just make this a little bit bigger? No, it's not going to show. You've got the little comment box. So insert comment. And you see it's the same comment box that you get in docs and slides and sheets. It's the same across all of them. Put your comment. Now, the only difference is that when you comment, if we come off here, it disappears. You don't see the comment. And in the it's very hard to see, in the very top right-hand corner, there is, where did I comment? Here, a tiny orange triangle. And that orange triangle is where the comment sits. So if I'm not hovering over it, I'm not seeing the comment. When I'm hovering over that triangle, I'm seeing the comment. But I do know that there's a comment in the sheet because down the bottom where it's named, there's now a comment box with a 1 next to it. And this tells me how many comments are on the sheet. So when I click on that, it's going to open the comments for me. So that's a quick shortcut of, because they're kind of hidden, it's a quick way to be able to get back to your comments. Okay, so now what we're going to do, that's a lot of listening from you people. So I'm going to give you a little bit more collaboration time. One last thing I did on this sheet, which I have put away again. So I'm just going to come back and reopen this. So linked on the sheet, now you can stay in your same groups. I don't mind, you can change. What I have done, and I often used to do this with my students until I kind of clicked on to what I was doing. This row here, so I've put a color over top that's hidden the link so that students don't go to the link until I want them to. So now I can come back in and I can change color. And now you can see that actually there's another set of links there. So you can just kind of unveil them as you go, or you can protect those cells and then unprotect them as you go. So there's another link here to a Jamboard. Again, there's 5. So I'm just going to give you a few minutes to jump into your Jamboard. And oh, that's awesome. Somebody's already jumped in. I love when people do this. What does collaboration look like? So work with your group to create one visual message to answer this question. So Jamboard is a fantastic collaborative tool. You can use it in lots of different ways. It has sticky notes, which is probably the thing that most people use it for. Hence, I have said a visual message. So just this week, they have included shapes in Jamboard now. So you can use shapes. So you can put some shapes together, layer them, create something. They've also included text boxes. And they've also included layering. So I could put a square and then I could come back and I could get a circle and I could choose a color for my circle. Whoops, choose my circle. I've got a color up here. I can fill it in. And then on my 3 dots, I can order it and I could send it to the back. So I'm just going to give you a few moments to jump back into your Jamboards, come back to the sheet, jump into your Jamboard and have a bit of a collaboration, seeing if you can create a visual image of what collaboration looks like. And great memes, you can bring in images. Here is an image, add image. You can Google search as well, or you can bring an image in from your Drive or from Photos. So I'm just going to stop talking for a few minutes and give you a chance to jump in. Remember too that you can add another jam if you want to, add another frame just by clicking these triangles up here if you think you need a bit more room. So I'll just give you a few minutes to do that and I will delete my one.
Donna, can I just add a couple of things? I've just answered Kelly's Kelly's question about adding audio comments in sheets. So little extensions like Mote and so forth work really well. So they still work well. And in Jamboard, what you're doing currently now, I've seen some teachers using things like thinking routines, color symbol image, see, think, wonders, and really a fantastic stimulus for further discussion. So what you're doing now in Jamboard, after you finish with your students, it really does stimulate a great deal of discussion where the students have to then justify what they've chosen and what they've actually created as a visual. So these sort of little prompts where you allow students to think really deeply about some sort of concept, it could be a science concept or a retell, and then visually represent that, is just a wonderful way to stimulate further discussion and that deeper level of thinking. So thanks so much, Donna, for sharing that with us. It's great.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. It's anything that gets students thinking critically. If you think back to that shared understanding of what collaboration and feedback is all about, that word critical was in there. So thinking of ways that you can get your students to work together critically. And I know at the moment you're remote, you're not in the same space as each other, but you can see what other people are doing. You can add on to someone else's work. You can springboard off somebody else's work. Just really nice ways to maybe put a different tool in front of your students as well. I've seen teachers create like graphic organizers on Google Drawings, downloading that as an image, and then bringing that into Jamboard as their background, and then using the text tools and the drawing tools to be able to add on to that and to draw over top. Because remember, this here is your pen as well. So if you are new to Jamboard, you have a pen here as well, different colors, and you can just draw on it also. If you are a school that has iPads or Chromebooks, Jamboard, the Jamboard app that you have in a Chromebook or on an iPad also has Auto Draw built into it, which it isn't in the web version, but it is in the app version. So that can be really good for students to use as well.
Donna, with the sticky notes, I found the other day I was working with a school and we use sticky notes quite a lot for brainstorming. And even just like to take your idea about the color codes and actually color coding your sticky notes and saying, right, yellow means I've still got a question. Red means I need some support here. I don't quite get it. Those color codes can be really powerful.
Yeah, or they are great. Green is good to go. So yeah, totally make use of those as well. Awesome, Asha. That's a great collaborative visual, great visual of collaboration. And again, once you've finished your Jamboard, you can download it as a PDF, or you can save the frame as an image as well, or you can make copies. Just do be aware that if you are collaborating with students in Jamboard, there is no revision history. So if they remove something or they delete something, there is no bringing it back like there is in other G Suite tools. So that's probably just one thing to be aware of with Jamboard.
And that might come in time, Donna. Things are changing so quickly with the different G Suite tools and so forth. So hopefully that comes in, because I know that would be something that teachers would love. Kiralee's just asked, said she lost a little bit of sound in regard to Auto Draw. Did we have Auto Draw built into it, Donna, into Jamboard?
So Auto Draw is built into the app version. So if you're on a Chromebook or an iPad and you open Jamboard, then yes, you do have Auto Draw. It's down here. In fact, no, it's under the pen tool. So if you are on a Chromebook, on the app version, not the web version, or if you're on an iPad, you'll find Auto Draw built in here.
Yep, terrific. Thanks, Donna.
Okay, so we had a little bit of fun playing with that. So I'm just going to show you a couple of other things really quickly around collaboration and feedback. Just on Google Slides, I'm not going to touch too much on Google Slides. Oops, I didn't open that slide. Never mind, we'll use our hosting slide. So just one thing I wanted to show you really quickly when it comes to collaboration. If you are in your Drive, or actually let me just do a search. So your students are searching for, you can see what my search history was here. Let's say it's coffee time at school. You're trying to send a message to your colleagues. You're collaborating with them silently on a Jamboard, sending them a message. And you're looking for, of course, free to use images. So we know that we have to click on Tools, and we have to click on Usage Rights, Labeled for Reuse, and now these are the images that we're allowed to use. I want one with no background, so I'm going to type in PNG. Or I could also, under Type, I could choose Clip Art, I could choose Line Drawing, I could choose a GIF, I could choose a particular color. Transparent will also give me the PNG background. And I can choose size. So I can filter and do all those things. And I'm just going to choose one of these. Now, I could from here, I could right click on it. I could save it. I could copy it. I could do whatever. But I'm going to just add this to my collections. Now, I don't know if many people are using collections, but I'm just going to add that to collections. And so what it does is it adds it to all of the photos, images that I have added to my collection. So these are them all up here. And then I can group my collections. So I can, if I come, favorite images are where everything that you add, that you click that little collect button, they come in here into your collections. And then from here, oops, why did my coffee one not come in here? Anyway, I can select them and I can add this one to one of the groups I've made down the side. So I've got a gratitude group here. If I click on gratitude, these are all the images that I have added to my gratitude group. Now, what I can do with this is I can share this with my students. So instead of having my students madly just, searching for images and spending 20 minutes not finding anything, we could actually gather a collection together and we could share that. Now, it's not terribly collaborative, I realize that, but if you have what I used to do, if you have a generic class account, so we were room 17 at hauraki.school.nz, that was our class account. So I would sign into our class account, as would the students, and then we could collaborate together on a collection. So we could come to our search. Let me just do that again, show you, come to our search, find the images that we wanted to use, make sure that they're safe images that we're allowed to use. Oops, I went transparent. Let's just click on this one. Here's our little icon down here. Now it's gone to my collections. That was the step that I missed out. I can come into collections up here, and that will take me to my collections. There it is there. I can, I can come to select. I can select it, and I can move it to a group. So together we could build up one because we are all in the same account. We're all in our Room 17 account. So we could create a collection together and we could collaborate on that. And then we would come straight to our collection rather than spending time Google searching. Now in your Drive, in your home page, under your Waffle launcher, you also have collections here. So collections sits there and it will take you to your collections as well. So that might be something that you might want to get your students or staff members, team members. If you're in a group or a team, you can collaborate together on collections. And also remember, if we are Google searching and we've done it correctly, we've put the parameters in place, we've used those safe searches, we found the one that we want, we don't actually need to right-click, save it, copy it. We can just drag it to the tab and drop it onto the slide where we want it to be. So we can just drag it from our images and drop it as well. Okay, have we got any questions, Paul?
We're having lots of connectivity problems, apparently, Donna. So I'm reading your texts, everyone, your chats down the side. Look, it's coming through pretty clear on mine, so at least we're going to get a really recording. But I'm fully aware that a couple of people have had to reconnect and do some different things, Donna, but you're certainly coming through for me crystal clear. So hopefully that recording will be crystal clear as well. So thank you for those people just persevering. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul. Now, just quickly before, I know we're coming close to 7:30, all of the things that we've talked about are in the slides here. But I do just want to touch on feedback. So there are some ideas here about digital stickers. I know there's lots of digital stickers around on the internet at the moment, but I used to create my own with my students. I used to get the students to create them as well, because if they had some buy-in, then they would appreciate them a lot more. But for me, the thing with digital stickers is that often students don't read written feedback, or they don't have the time to read their written feedback. Not so much when we're working remotely. face-to-face in class, we tend to have a lot more verbal conversations. So if we have a digital sticker that we just place on our work was a symbol for, I guess, leadership and parents and anybody who really was questioning the feedback system, was that verbal feedback had been given or feedback had been given. So I didn't have to spend time rewriting what I had said verbally. I just dragged a digital sticker across. Now, the awesome thing about digital stickers, if you are working remotely, is you can put yourself in them. So the more opportunities we have to maintain connections with our students, then the better the learning is going to be for everyone. So being able to put yourself, either just your face or your whole body, and for your students to see you in that digital sticker, can be a great bridge between that feedback being given and that connection being maintained with you. Now, this is not me, as you can see. It's very handy to have a daughter around when you're wanting to create a demo of a digital sticker. So the easiest way to get yourself into a digital sticker is simply to video yourself. And then I've linked down here a website, unscreen.com. And what unscreen.com does is it strips the background from your video, so it leaves the person. So if you do want to try this, I do suggest a plain background works better, because the software can differentiate between person and background easier. Leaves you with a transparent background, you as your video, and then these were made in Canva and Google Slides. So just same as if you were here last week and Lara talked about Google Drawings, just putting a shape, putting your video on top, putting your text on, and exporting it with that transparent background. And the really cool thing is that you can then put these stickers, upload them as a file to your Google Keep, which sits in your widget bar next to slides, docs, sheets, Gmail. And so when you want to use it, let me just maybe I've done some great work on here, and you can just grab it, drag it. My mouse is going very slow, and drop it on and then resize it. So it can be a really nice way of being able to give that quick instant feedback. There we go. And we might just need to resize the size of that sticker. Just while I'm resizing it, Paul, are there any questions?
No questions, Donna, but just a little aspect to Google Keep on the right-hand side there. It's also fantastic for things like criteria sheets or little checklists before students hand things in, to get that kind of self-feedback or that self-regulation going, so they can actually check on the different elements of the project that they're working on and make sure that they're ticked off before they possibly submit them. So Google Keep, it's amazing how many teachers don't know about Google Keep and how fantastic a tool it is.
It's awesome. And it's great for you for giving feedback. If there are comments that you find yourself giving back repeatedly, you can just pin those and you can just click on it. Let me come to one. I'm not quite sure where the one I'm looking for lives. It's usually pinned at the top, but let's just take this one. You can just copy it, come to your comment and paste it in. So it can be a really quick way to get comments. If there are comments that you use all the time, just make them in a Keep note, and you can open them there. The other thing about this is that Moot Chrome extension. I know we've talked about this before, but again, if you're trying to maintain those connections remotely and you're wanting to give students feedback that's meaningful, you can just say your comment and it will drop it in as a voice message. They hear what you're saying, they hear your voice, and they listen to your feedback. You click done. You can choose whether you want it transcribed or not, comment, and they get it as a voice message. And if you've chosen to have it transcribed, they'll see the transcription as well. So that can be a great way, very powerful way to give feedback. In your docs too, don't forget, you can also give feedback. What I used to do was come down put my cursor somewhere, I would just come to insert table, and I would just put a 1 cell table in, probably pick that up a wee bit. I would click inside it. I would click tools, turn on voice typing, click to speak. Hey, this was an awesome story. Loved the introduction, full stop. What I'd like you to do now is to work a little bit more on adding some adjectives to the main part of your story, full stop. And so the students would know that if there was a cell at the bottom, that was my voice message to them. And I can go back and edit that text that it didn't quite pick up. But that's much quicker for me than for typing it. And then I would just come in.
It even picks up your accent, Donna. It even picks up your New Zealand accent for us Aussies.
Yeah, look at that. Please read, and the students knew that it was there. We'll just point them to it. So that could be a nice, quick way of giving feedback as well. Now, I've done lots of talking. There is a lot more information on these slides than what we have gone through tonight. But I know that there's always different things that people take away. So it could be, that you're sort of thinking, well, maybe there wasn't really a lot there for me tonight, but you can dig into the slides and you'll find some more there. I've just put a link to Slides Mania. When it comes to collaboration, this woman, she's a woman who creates these slide decks. They work in Google Slides and in PowerPoint. The link, if you just click on the image here, it'll take you to the link. She has created so many amazing Google slide templates that can be used for planning templates for teams, that can be used for student collaboration with different ways and different scaffolds already set up in them. Just her collaboration with the teaching profession is amazing. So if you're looking for some different ways to use slides, different ways to set up slides, you might like to check that website out. There's also a few things about Google Keep. And then there is, of course, the feedback. So I know we've still got a few minutes to go, but I've got one more, which I hope will be a fun collaborative activity for you to do. So if everybody could maybe just take a moment or two, jump into the feedback form for us, fill out the feedback, and then if you would like one more little fun activity, we've got one more collaborative activity to do. This is a really fun one. This is a Eric Kurtz template. So if you're on Twitter or Instagram, definitely check out Eric Kurtz, Eric, E-R-I-C, and then C-U-R-T-S. And it's a random emoji writing prompt. So if I hit Command R, it should throw up a different set of emojis. And so what you can do with your students is randomly select an emoji. And then remember how we talked about, I'm actually just going to make these a bit wider. If somebody has a color in there, you can really do this any way that you like. But one person writes a sentence, the next person follows on, the next person follows on, the next person follows on. And you have to create a story using these 5 emojis. So you can write, a different person can write in each box and write a different sentence. Because we're not in the same space, just choose a box and see if you could come up with a story, a sentence, a couple of sentences that connect these 5 emojis in some way. So make a cohesive story, a cohesive sentence that incorporates all 5 emojis. Now I've put the link to his template in the slides. He's got a different tab that's got 2, 3, 4, and 5 emojis on it and an explanation of how the sheet works. But it can be a really fun thing to have your students collaborate on. So if you want to just jump into one, have a little play, see if you can create a sentence that's got all 5 emojis connected into it. Maybe you could give us some feedback on tonight's webinar using the 5 emojis. That could be your challenge. Let's see if anybody can do that. So feel free to make your rows wider if you want to. So just selecting them down the side and dragging that line makes them wider. So have a bit of fun with that. If you don't want to have a bit of fun with that, thank you for joining us. It's been great to have you with us again. Loved sharing these things with you. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us. Send us any questions. And next week, we have Paul talking about problem solving, isn't it, Paul?
Oh, we're going to do some awesome stuff next week, Donna. We're going to look at teachable machine, bit of computational thinking. We're going to look at machine learning and AI, and some really easy to use tools that are associated with Google that we can get students problem solving, building those resilient skills and so forth. So it should be a lot of fun next week. Anyway, have a great night, everyone. Thanks, Donna. You're fantastic.
Oh, thanks for joining us, everyone. Great having you, Paul. We'll see you again next week, guys.
Next week.